Mahmoud Abbas in Riyadh, to whom he conveyed a letter from President Abdelmadjid Tebboune. And several people were today killed and scores of others wounded in new bombardments carried out today by the Israeli occupation forces against the central part of the Gaza Strip. And the United Nations has sounded the alarm about a possible imminent attack on Al-Fasher in Sudan's North Darfur as the global body seeks to reduce tensions in the city. And those were the major developments. Now the Food News edition. Good afternoon. The Minister of Justice, Abdulrashid Tabbi, has announced that the decision taken by the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, Chairman of the Supreme Council of the Magistracy, to assign to some retired or deceased magistrates the position of honorary magistrate was the first in Algeria's history. The minister hailed the decision, saying it was the last that could be done to thank them for their efforts in the service of justice. He added that enshrining such judiciary traditions demonstrated the interest paid by the president to this body and translated the consideration he expresses to the judiciary power. Prime Minister Nadia Al-Arbawi is in Kenya to represent the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, at the summit meeting for the International Development Association for Africa. And Miriam Barshi has the details.
The summit is taking place in Nairobi with the aim to discuss IDA's replenishment of resources and to pave the way for strategic orientations allowing for the necessary financing to achieve Africa's sustainable development objectives. Our reporter has met with the governor sector in charge of the national trade and economic planning in Kenya, who detailed the three objectives of the two-day summit meeting agenda.
During these 2 days, today and tomorrow, we will be deliberating on three areas. First, how we can ensure that we can place a collective voice in support of a strong IDA 21 replenishment. Second, we want to make sure that Africa's development priorities are well reflected in IDA 21 strategic priorities. And third, we do have to make sure that we are getting strong results from IDA's financing.
He later recalled the recent discussions held with the World Bank Group, notably on the steps made towards creating a world free of poverty.
We gather here soon after the World Bank Group and IMF spring meetings in Washington. That was the other week, last week but one. And there we discussed the progress being made in World Bank Group's evolution and the implementation, and also the encouraging steps being taken both on the operational and financial side towards a better, bolder, and bigger bank, capable of achieving the bold new vision of creating a world free of poverty and on a livable planet.
This was the sector responsible for the national trade and economic planning in Kenya.
And the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Army General Said Changri, has chaired the Military Center for Engineering and Infrastructure Development here in Algiers, the annual meeting with military infrastructure executives. And Majid Mila has the details.
A communique issued by Ministry of National Defense indicated that the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army heard a presentation made by the Director General of the Military Center for Engineering and Infrastructure Development on the assessment of the activities for 2023-2024 and an inventory of going infrastructure projects at the level of units of the National People's Army. The Army Chief of Staff then heard a presentation on the technical complex construction project of the Military Center for Engineering and Infrastructure Development and inspected the different structures of such an important achievement. The Army General also inspected the existing material and equipment workshops of the Central Directorate of Military Infrastructures, where he heard presentations on the most important projects of the Directorate from the study to construction and handover. On the occasion, he made an orientation speech followed via video conference by executives and staff of the Central Directorate of Military Infrastructures across the 6 military regions. The Chief of Staff of the MP affirmed to this end that the Army's High Command granted a major interest to the morale of the personnel and worked permanently, providing good conditions for all AMP units, particularly those deployed in the southern regions.
You still listen to Radio Algeria International, and still with our national news, the Speaker of the National People's Assembly and President of the Arab Interparliamentary Union, Brahim Boughali, has underlined from Cairo, Egypt, the importance to invest in artificial intelligence technologies to achieve human prosperity and security. And Mariam Barshi has the details.
Speaking at the 6th meeting of the Arab Parliament and Presidents of Arab Parliaments, Mr. Boughali said artificial intelligence technologies must always be orientated towards prosperity, security and the future of humankind, warning against transforming AI into a tool of destruction of human beings, their values and their social culture. He emphasized the necessity for Arab parliaments to play a role in developing a clear Arab working strategy to meet their needs, stressing that Algeria grants a particular interest to the development of a national strategy, enabling the country to master relevant technologies. He also noted the importance of the experience exchanges to guarantee the sustainable use of these technologies to meet the development needs, calling for intensifying training programs and establishing specialized research centers to strengthen the skills of new generations.
We are here to take part in the 6th conference of the Arab Parliament and to give an overview on the steps taken by Algeria in the field of artificial intelligence and in all fields related to new technologies, given that the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has made a plan in this field to stay up to date with technological development and to achieve a sustainable development that is built upon science and new technologies. Our strategy is based on the development of skills and training, and the Ministry of Higher Education and the Ministry of Startups are taking charge.
Regarding the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories, Mr. Boughali stressed the urgent need to merge the efforts of the different regional and international parliamentary bodies to make the voice of the oppressed Palestinian people heard and to put an end to their tragedy and imposing an immediate ceasefire, and by finding a just solution to the Palestinian cause.
And the meeting of the World Economic Forum has kicked off in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, with the participation of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad, Ahmad Attaf. This special meeting, entitled International Cooperation, Growth and Energy for Development, is centered on examining the different global economic and development issues with the aim of promoting all-party international cooperation to develop common solutions to different security, development and environmental issues. On this occasion, the Algerian diplomacy chief is to participate in a discussion session on geopolitical dynamics and the consequences of the energy transition. Mr. Attaf is expected to shed light on the role of Algeria and its contribution to promoting energy security in its Euro-Mediterranean environment. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs has been received in Riyadh by the President of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, and Majid Mira gives us the details.
A communiqué issued by the ministry indicated that on this occasion Attaf conveyed a letter from the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, to his brother, the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas, regarding the Israeli aggression against Gaza in particular and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in general. In this regard, Attaf reiterated on behalf of the President of the Republic the solidarity of the Algerian people with the brotherly Palestinian people, as well as Algerians' unwavering determination to provide all necessary support for the triumph of the Palestinian cause in all international fora and organizations, and in particular at the United Nations Security Council, where the Palestinian cause has become a priority in line with the unprecedented tragedy in Gaza. In response, President Abbas entrusted Attaf to convey to his brother, the President Abdelmajid Tebboune, the deep gratitude of the Palestinian people for all the solidarity and support that the head of state has brought to the benefit of the Palestinian cause. The communiqué further highlighted President Abbas's appreciation of the role played by Algeria within the Security Council, expressing particular gratitude for Algerians' contributions to have allowed significant diplomatic successes for the Palestinian cause.
And to the Middle East now, several people were today killed and scores of others wounded in new bombardments carried out today by the Israeli occupation against the central part of the Gaza Strip. The news agency Wafa said at least 66 people, including women and children, were killed and 138 others were wounded in airstrikes targeting the refugee camp of Nusayrat in the central part of the territory. The Israeli occupation has intensified its attacks on the area as well as on the town of Gaza, raising the death toll to over 34,450 since Israel launched its operations on Gaza over 6 months ago. Meanwhile, incidents broke out overnight between Palestinians and Israeli soldiers in Al Arub refugee camp north of the West Bank town of Al Khalil. Local sources said the incidents broke out after the Israeli forces assaulted the camp and stressed that scores of people suffered suffocation after the Israeli soldiers fired tear gas at Palestinian protesting against the attack. We're still with the Palestinian Authority issue, and according to security sources, assaults were also launched by the Israeli occupation against other villages marked by operation carried out in the northeastern parts of the governorate. This came as hundreds of Jewish settlers today assaulted the Al-Aqsa Esplanade amid tightened security measures imposed by the Israeli authorities on the Palestinian population in occupied East Jerusalem. In this connection, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas spoke out against any displacement plan by the Israeli authorities of the West Bank population once it completed its aggression on Gaza. Addressing an economic forum in Riyadh, he once again rejected the displacement of Palestinians from their homeland and advocated a political solution that allows for the setting up of an independent Palestinian state with occupied Al-Quds as capital. And the Israeli occupation has pursued its bombardments of Lebanon's southern part, targeting several villages and municipalities. Local sources said the bombardments that caused damage mainly hit the governorate of Nabtia. Only 6 people were killed in airstrikes that hit the municipality. And to Sudan now, the UN Security Council has called on the warring parties in Sudan to immediately halt the military build-up and take steps to de-escalate the situation in Al-Fashir, the provincial capital of North Darfur. The details with Majid Mira.
The call comes amid reports of an imminent offensive by the Rapid Supporters rebel forces and their allied militia against the city, which could threaten the lives of hundreds of thousands of displaced persons currently sheltering there. The United Nations Security Council's members called on the Sudanese armed forces and the RSF to stop the strengthening of their military forces around Al-Fashir and to take the necessary measures to appease the situation while respecting their obligations under the international humanitarian law. The Council members reiterated their call for an immediate cessation of hostilities, urging all United Nations member states to refrain from any foreign interference and support the efforts aimed at establishing a lasting peace. At least 43 people, among them women and children, have been killed in fighting between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support rebel forces since April 14, when the RSF began its push into Al-Fashir. The United Nations added that civilians trapped in the city and are afraid of being killed and they should attempt to flee. The dire situation is compounded by a severe shortage of essential supplies as deliveries of commercial goods and humanitarian aid have been heavily constrained by the fighting and access challenges through the RSF-controlled territory.
You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, and a Swedish couple has taken up the challenge of traveling 48,000 kilometers by bike to raise awareness on the Sahrawi cause across 3 continents, a journey that will last until January 2025. The couple has already crossed 21 countries in 2 years, and according to Benjamin Ladra, Western Sahara is not only the last colony in Africa, it is also the largest in the world, stressing that international law is blatantly violated in Western Sahara. He added that the territory of Western Sahara should be decolonized according to the resolutions of the United Nations, stressing that the journey will also take them to the Sahrawi refugee camps.
We are two Swedish human rights activists biking 30,000 kilometers around the world through 30 countries during 3 years in order to highlight the human rights violations that are stemming from the lack of self-determination of the Sahrawi people. Their self-determination is affirmed by UN resolutions and the International Court of Justice advisory opinion of 1975, and we are biking to reaffirm this all around the world by speaking at universities, meeting politicians, speaking to the media and to the people in the street. We have now been biking for 2 years and are currently in Switzerland and are looking forward to the next countries, which are France, Spain, Portugal and Algeria. We will be arriving in Algeria in November, and we will be biking from Algiers to the camps and hope to make a big campaign during our time.
And Sana Qutbi, for her part, has said if the world fails to impose the right of self-determination in such a clear case, this principle will never be applied again. The awareness journey of the Swedish couple consists of meeting people and talking to them about the situation in occupied Western Sahara. And now to the 4th Annaba Mediterranean Film Festival. The difficulties that Palestinian filmmakers meet to shoot films and the harsh ordeals they undergo due to the Israeli colonization have been raised during an open debate following a short film screened as part of the 4th Annaba Mediterranean Film Festival. The Palestinian short film The Passage by Amin Naifa was screened. The film relates the suffering endured by 3 Palestinian brothers and sisters wanting to pay a visit to their bedridden grandfather who lives on the other side of the separation wall erected by the Israeli occupation. The filmmaker said the making of this 11-minute short film was very difficult amid the difficulties, constraints and threats encountered during the making of the film. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International. That's it for our news bulletin. I invite you now to listen to our economic program, compiled and presented by Said Bouazi.
Hello and welcome to our weekly program devoted to Algerian economic news. First in the news, Algeria, Tunisia and Libya have signed in Algiers an agreement to set up a consultation mechanism on the management of shared groundwater in the Northern Sahara. In a speech delivered on the occasion, the Algerian Minister of Hydraulics, Taha Dirbel, said that the agreement opens a promising new page in terms of coordination and cooperation between our countries in a vital area that underpins any development process, namely water resources. The Tunisian Minister of Agriculture, Hydraulic Resources and Fisheries has said that the agreement establishing a consultation mechanism on the management of shared groundwater in the Northern Sahara opens up great prospects for regional cooperation and helps to strengthen food and water security, enhance the national security of the signatory countries so that the Northern Sahara basin remains a source of life and prosperity. As for the Libyan Deputy Minister of Water Resources, he said that the many challenges facing the region require closer cooperation and coordination between the 3 countries in a variety of fields, and this is what was achieved at the last meeting in Tunis. He indicated that his country aspired within the framework of the Arab Maghreb to promote cooperation with regard to shared water resources in the Northern Sahara. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has signed a framework agreement with the Qatari company Beledna for the implementation of an integrated milk powder production project in the country's southern regions, notably in the province of Adrar. The agreement was initialed by Suad Assous, Director General of Agricultural Investment and Land at the Ministry, and Mohamed Mu'taz El Khayyat, Chairman of the Board of Directors of Beledna, in the presence of the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Youssef Sherfa, the Minister of Finance Aziz Faid, the Minister of Energy and Mines Mohamed Arkab, the Minister of Trade and Export Promotion Tayyib Zitouni, the Minister of Hydraulics Taha Dirbel, the Minister of Industry and Pharmaceutical Production Ali Aoun, and the Qatari Ambassador to Algiers Abdelaziz Ali Al Na'ma. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Youssef Sherfa, has said in Algiers that the first phase of production of the Qatari company Beledna to produce milk powder in the south of the country, notably in the province of Adrar, will begin in 2026. At a press conference with the delegate member of the Qatari company Ramiz Al Khayyat on the sidelines of the signing ceremony of the framework agreement between his ministerial department and the Qatari company, Youssef Sherfa underlined that production will take place in 4 phases, the first of which will begin in 2026 and the last will take place 9 years after the launch of the project. In more Algerian economic news, the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arkab, has met the chairman of the board of directors of the Qatari company Baladna, Mohamed Mu'taz Al Khayyat, with whom he discussed opportunities for cooperation in the energy sector, notably in the fields of hydrocarbons and petrochemicals, says a press release from the ministry. The meeting took place on the sidelines of the signing ceremony of a framework agreement between the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and the Qatari company Baladna for the creation of an integrated milk powder production project in the presence of the Qatari ambassador to Algiers and senior officials from the ministry and the Qatari company. The Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arkab, has received in Algiers the Managing Director of the British company Harbour Energy, Linda Cook, with whom he discussed ways of strengthening and developing prospects for cooperation and investment in the energy sector. During the meeting, which took place at the ministry headquarters, the two parties discussed the opportunities for cooperation and investment in the field of energy, notably hydrocarbon exploration and the exploitation and development of natural gas fields with the Sonatrach Group. And to wrap it up, the government is planning a number of advantages and facilities for operators wishing to invest in the maritime transport sector, a transport ministry official said in Algiers. Speaking at the first Algiers Maritime Forum organized by Global Trade Support, Kamel Sikhadour, Deputy Director in charge of maritime transport and ancillary activities at the ministry, said that the main advantages include the granting of a 10-year renewable concession and support for these operators from financial institutions to facilitate their access to credit. And with this, we come to the end of our weekly program devoted to Algerian economic news. Take care and bye-bye for now.
The museums of the world are the window into the history and creativity of a particular country. It is here where visitors are able to explore the past generation and the development of the country and marvel at the historic relics and artifacts that stand as a reminder to these ancient times. The National Museum of Antiquities in Algiers is one of the most fascinating and comprehensive museums in the country. It is where the past meets the present and where Algeria comes to life. What makes the National Museum of Antiquities so unique is the fact that it does not only showcase pieces and history of Algiers, but has a wonderful collection that has been sourced from towns and cities across the country. Having displays from around Algeria gives visitors a comprehensive look at the country. One location making the National Museum of Antiquities a very popular attraction and educational tool. Some of the rare artifacts that visitors can look forward to viewing are the totemic warriors from the Libyan period, ivory carvings, and a breathtaking coin collection. The sculptures that are located throughout the museum are magnificent and include the 3rd century child with an eagle, a sculpture from Cherchell, and wonderful bronzes. The museum is also home to an extensive art collection, ancient mosaics, and dozens of priceless manuscripts. The National Museum of Antiquities has an exclusive collection of exhibits and offers an extraordinary opportunity to explore the cultures, traditions, and age-old beauty of this fascinating country. When in Algiers, visitors are recommended to add the museum to their list of activities, as they will not be disappointed at the wonders that are contained within the walls of the National Museum of Antiquities. From the capital Algiers to the western city of Tlemcen, the town of Tlemcen is noted for its flourishing vineyards and olive plantations, as well as its carpet, textile, and leather handicrafts. With its centuries of fascinating history and rich culture, a blend of Berber, Arab, French, and Andalusian, Tlemcen is a popular tourist destination. Visitors to the town may want to take some time to explore the Tlemcen Museum, which provides an interesting overview of the history and culture of this picturesque Algerian town and surrounding areas. Originally housed in the Sidi Bel Hassan Mosque in Tlemcen, the museum collection has been moved to a college building which was built in 1905. The Tlemcen Museum occupies 2 floors of the building, and the collection includes a variety of coins and artifacts from the Almoravid 11th century, Marinid and Zayyanid dynasties. The Marinid and Zayyanid dynasties struggled for domination of the area in the 13th and early 14th century, each taking and losing rulership a number of times until Tlemcen came under Ottoman rule in the 16th century. Following a decade of resistance, Tlemcen succumbed to the French in 1842. Carved epitaphs from the royal tomb of Boudbil, the last Moorish king of Granada, who died in Tlemcen in 1494, are among the treasures to be seen at the Tlemcen Museum, as well as a marble standard cubit measure bearing the date 1328. Also displayed at the museum are some amazing oil paintings by Algerian artist Abdelhalim Hamesh dating back to the 1940s. Located in the oasis